Hello everybody, welcome to another bedroom curry. Welcome to another session of me talking in my bed. Nothing much changes there, does it? Today we're going to talk about something that any of my students from the past, from my workshops and retreats and seminars will totally remember and recognise. I've had a lot of people email me and message me about how to live spiritually. Obviously I refer them to my online Prism Living course as well, because that's a great way to start getting on a path if you want to kind of embrace the universe a bit more and all of the unseen things that roam around this wonderful place. But there's 4 things I adhere to, and if anything comes up in life or anything that I need to think of for the future or anything that I need to analyse, I always adopt these 4 points. And they're known as the 4 TRs. And everybody who's been at workshop will go, yeah, I remember that. And it's served me well throughout my whole time of life, basically. What it is that I remember many, many moons ago, it's must be about 2004, something like that. Someone said to me, how do you like regulate decisions and what you do in life? How do you look at situations and see if you're doing the right thing? How do you know that you're on the right path? How do you keep going? How do you create yourself as someone that knows that they're acting and speaking and communicating spiritually? And I thought it's a very good question because I haven't got a bloody clue. Most of the things I never have a clue about, so I have to go and meditate and link up and find out for myself. So I thought, do you know what, it's a really good question. And of all places, I was in the bath. I remember it really clearly. And I was laying in the bath, really chilled out, and I had all candles around, nice lavender essential oil in the bath. And I thought, I'm going to have a cheeky little meditation, because I remembered one of the questions that this lady brought up in one of my circles. So I linked up expecting to see my normal lot, but I didn't. I found myself in, the only way I can describe it is, do you know in Lord of the Rings, where they go to like the fairyland and there's all like waterfalls and beautiful like crystalline pools and mountains, it's all like fairies and elves and that kind of thing. I thought this is a bit weird. But it was beautiful, and I remember standing by this railing looking over at this translucent waterfall that was just cascading into the most beautiful pool. And it was really ethereal, because the sky was like pinks and lilacs and blues. It was just beautiful, and I was standing there holding on to this rail looking at this waterfall, and then this man turned up next to me. And again, the only way I can describe him is, Orlando Bloom in Lord of the Rings, where, he's so lovely in that, where he's got like the V-shaped hair and he's an elfin or an elf or whatever he is. And this kind of bloke turned up, and he was absolutely stunning, the most gorgeous green eyes. Oh God, he was lovely. Never seen him again. Bit gutted, not gonna lie. So he stood there and he said, I'm answering the question that you have within your inner soul. And I went, okay. And he held out this huge crystal, and it was all clear, and all the facets of the light were hitting, all the rays of the light were hitting all the facets in the crystal and gleaming these beautiful prisms. And he said, you have to always maintain the clarity of what crystals like create. I was like, okay. And he said, there are 4 TRs that you need to adhere to. And first of all, I thought it meant tiaras. I'm like, it's just not going well, this meditation. And he said TR. And he said the first one is trust. And so I said, what do you mean trust? And he said, you have to trust on your earth path every single thing that takes place, whether it's negative or positive. He said you must trust that there is a reason for why it's happened. There is a reason why these things have taken place. And eventually you will see why they have taken place. For if they are something that is a bad thing, or you're going through a negative situation in your life, there's a reason for it. How many times have you kind of gone through something and thought, what the hell? And then when, perhaps hindsight, or 4 months later, you look back and think, thank God that happened. Because if that hadn't have happened, I wouldn't be where I am now. And it's the same with all the good things that happen. We sometimes look a gift horse in the mouth and we say, well, why has that happened? Because this has happened, and you always kind of sometimes wait for the bubble to burst if you get these continual situations of good luck and good fortune, and we should not do that. We should just trust the process and trust everything that's given to us. It's also the same as perhaps working mediums, light workers, when you're given messages that you think, did I make that up? Did I think that? Did I look into it too much? And it's the same with people that are, trying to gather some sort of spiritual knowledge, where they'll get synchronicity, or they get the same numbers shown to them, or they'll get signs, and they read into it and go, really, is that really what that meant? Or am I just looking for something magical? And, stop over-analysing, stop looking into it, stop allowing the logical part of your brain to kick in and try and over-analyse what you're being shown. Did that feather drop from a bird, or did it just drop here for me? All that kind of stuff. Just let it go and trust the process. I trust it implicitly. And if anything goes wrong, where I find myself overthinking, or something's worrying me at night, or something keeps replaying, I look and think, have I trusted the process? Am I just trusting the fact that this is right? Okay, and then I think, no, I haven't. Just let it go. So it can be anything. It can be people, situations, anything at all. Just trust the process, trust the universe, and these ethereal beings, these celestial beings, whether you believe them or not, have got your back. That's the most important thing. They've got your back. So, they can't sometimes avoid situations or people or bad things that happen to us. We need to learn that for our life path. So trust the process, know that you're going to be looked after, and know there is a reason for everything that happens. So that was the first TR. The second TR was truth. Are you living and speaking your truth? There are so many people in this world, and so many people that I connect with when I do my readings, or perhaps when I do workshops, who are so miserable in their lives, whether it's their job, their partners, where they live, the house they live in. And they kind of live this lie of pretending they're happy to other people. They live this lie of saying that everything's okay when it really isn't. And then before they know it, it's 10, 15 years down the line, and they've realised they've lived this lie where they're really not happy, or they're really not doing what they want to do. They're really not going for what they've always wanted to achieve. And it makes me laugh, because when I think of something like the bucket list, we say about the bucket list, if I was going to die, or before I die, I want to do this. Why not do it tomorrow? Live your truth. Be who you are. There are lots of people. I'll give you an example with me, for instance. As you'll understand when you read my book, Me, Myself and I, you basically end up, if you've got issues of finding your own truth about what you want in life and who you are as a person, you tend to then almost codependently connect onto your partner, or the people that you live with, or the people that you share time with, and you tend to start liking what they like, and so you start adopting your life around their passions and what they like to do. And it was such an amazing epiphany for me during my time of healing, during those 5 years, where I started realising what I liked. I didn't even know what clothes I liked, because I always wore what my partner expected of me to wear. He'll like me wearing this. How unhealthy is that? And I'll sit down and watch the football and pretend I like it because he loves it. No, not at all. I don't want to sit down and watch football. I want to be walking on a beach, or standing in nature somewhere, doing something nice, going on a boat, diving, whatever it is. And so it was a massive, massive shock for me to discover my own truths about what I liked in my life and what I wanted to aim for in life, what my passions were. So everything that you come to analyse or look at, see if it is your truth. Speak your truth. Tell people what you think. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to be someone that upsets someone by your own truth. However, sometimes we do have to express how we're really feeling. We need to seek our own truths and live by that. So I totally understood that when that gorgeous Orlando Bloom man said that. It made total sense to me. So live your truth, speak your truth, be your truth. The next thing he said was transparency. Now this gets a bit deeper in respect of how he was describing this, because he showed almost like an X-ray vision of my soul. When we hold things from the past, When we perhaps are connected to previous people or bad memories or bad experiences, this is particularly with perhaps people that suffer with PTSD or have had real bad trauma in their life, it stays stuck in the soul. And I remember a few years ago, during my healing, that I not only started to see people's souls, their auric fields, their ailments and what have you, I started to see black patches. And I thought, wow, what's this? And then I was told that these black patches are things that block the transparency of our soul. They block the natural flow where the divine and where inspiration and help can come through and flow through us, if we're just like literally trying to live as normal human beings spiritually. But it also, as light workers, mediums, healers, if we have these blocks, we're not as effective as being a channel for whatever we're supposed to be doing, as I say, whether it's healing, connecting with the spirit world, philosophy, whatever it is. And so we need to clear these blocks. And during the healing phase, I remember them saying this is a block we need to release. And when you read the book, you'll know that a lot of my blocks were released through dream state because I was so poorly. Remarkable what happened. And very painful at the time. But now it's just wonderful because you feel so light. You wake up without any feeling of dread or any heaviness. Everything is clear and fluid through your soul energy and the Kundalini line that runs through the chakra points. And so by clearing these things, we take away those blocks in our transparency. In human terms as well, perhaps what's happened in the past or what holds us within ourselves sometimes can create us being different personality wise. Sometimes we can react to situations differently because of past problems or experiences that are being held in our soul. Remember, our soul has memory, our consciousness has memory. And so if we've been in a situation before and we start feeling threatened by any situation here, we immediately go back to that situation and we do a fight or flight, or we do a I'm going to hurt you before you hurt me, or we say or do things that aren't really appropriate, but from past memory, our body and mind reminds us of the pain of what happened, so we're going to lash out and we're not going to be the true selves that we are. So as you see, as you go along with the TRs, you see that they start linking into each other. You know, look at the situation. Am I dealing with it with truth? Do I need to clear it from my situation to be transparent? And obviously, do I then have to trust this process because it doesn't feel right, but obviously I need to because it's happening. Can you see how they all interlock? It's really clever. So how do we get rid of those blocks? There's loads of other videos here where I say to you about how to get rid of those blocks, how to call on certain angels, how to meditate and face on with what the situation is, how to go for perhaps therapy, counselling, healing. You know, and again, I always analyse it with my soul journal, which I tell everybody to do all the time. It is my soul Bible. If there's anything that's worrying me or I know that's in my head, it's straight out on that paper so I can write it out. I can look at it in black and white and it's a lot clearer. And so obviously to work to be transparent is perfect. But again, that, kind of interlocks with the truth. Are you living your transparency? Are you telling people who you really are? Are you being completely open to people, saying this is me, whether you like it or not? We do a lot of people pleasing, especially empaths. So we need to look at ourselves and own our own truth, own our transparency, and know that we're the most fluid and light we can be. It is such a refreshing feeling to wake up knowing there is no blockages there, nothing locked in that's waiting to just, you know, it's almost like gremlins locked in a little cage, rattling the cage, and the more they rattle it, the more that lock gets weaker, and eventually at some point some impact in your life, some person in your life is going to actually smash that lock open, and then those gremlins are going to be back out again. So why don't we just eradicate the whole cage and gremlin thing before that happens, so that we can have fresh energy to be strong enough to deal with anything that comes in our life. And then obviously we go into the trust, so it all links in wonderfully. So he's explaining this to me and I'm like, yeah, I totally get this. It's so obvious. It's so true. And then I said, well, what's the fourth TR? And he said, transition. If you maintain these three very simple points in your life to everything that happens, whether it be illness, relationships, jobs, work, situations, he said, then you can do nothing but walk along the path of transition to the next wonderful lesson. He said also the transition leads to you understanding the universe more, understanding spiritual signs, understanding communication through meditation. The more we walk on our path of transition, the more we start seeing the miracles of how this beautiful universe works. This is the problem though. Everybody wants the fast forward button. They don't want to press the stop and play and look. They want to fast forward to the end result, and that's where things go wrong. You do have to work this a little bit. You do have to be more mindful of yourself. You have to work on your self-love, your own happiness. And the phone's just gone, which is great because I didn't put it on silent. And we have to work forwards, you know, to look after ourselves and be happy. The seed, hang on a minute, I'm just going to turn that on. Let's put that on silent. I'm so professional, aren't I? I'm so professional, it's just wonderful. So basically, by this transitional path, we start to experience more in our life. Perhaps more synchronicity, more signs. And it's really hard for me to explain because I could give you thousands and thousands of, there's a spirit person coming in now. Lovely bloke. Got like white and grey cropped hair, big built fella. Quite bushy eyebrows, right? Hello. Saying about the name Ian. Anyway. Yeah, Mum, I can't do that now because it's not as if I've got audience in front of me that can say that you're right, so let me carry on with this. Thank you. There's always one that sneaks their way in, isn't it? Love it. And that's what happens. You start, you know, don't have to be a medium to start perhaps having your nan or your mum or your son or your brother come in. You know, you can open your mind to so much and your energy to so much if you adhere to these 4 TRs in respect of spiritual development, or you can just live a happier, more content life by having that with you, those 4 TRs. So everything that happens in your life, have a look at the TRs, write them in your soul journals so they're there so you can remember them and write them out, and adhere those 4 or 3 points to everything that happens in your life, and it will be so much more clearer, trust me on that. And as I say, the transition of you moving onwards and understanding yourself more and spirituality more will just give you, it will just become in abundance once you start working this way of looking at all of the situations in your life. So there are my 4 TRs for you, my lovelies. I can't believe I've never shared them before because it was one of my things with my students. I always used to say, okay, so let's look at that situation. Okay, so what TR did you not do then? I didn't trust. Hey ho, there you go. So try implementing it into your daily life and see what results you get. Please let me know how you get on. Give me some feedback and let me know if it does help you, because it really is a very powerful way to live your life. Sorry about that phone call. It's just so popular, it's ridiculous. I'm joking. So thank you again to all the new subscribers who have joined me and come and listen to all my waffle. If there's anything you want to ask, please send me an email. And if there's anything on these videos that you may find that will help other people, please share them and you know, let them get some help from perhaps my knowledge. I don't know. So with that, I'm going to love you and leave you. Adhere to the TRs and let me know how you get on. Take care and have a great day. Lovely weather. Bye now.